let's go straight into the situation that's going on in Texas. We know about Democrats that are leaving the state, but I want to show you guys what's going on in the state with the people there and what they've been trying to tell their leaders.
Our warning was screaming down the road. That was our warning.
Our confidence has been shaken by the lack of coordination, chain of command glitches, and time taken to issue a code red, as well as the lack of the warning system and on that was discussed earlier. And what comes to my mind is a word that hasn't been brought up yet, and that is complacency.
The only thing more powerful than the flood has been the outpouring of volunteers and community members who have taken it upon themselves to help us recover. Assistance and prompt guidance from our local government regarding our rebuilding efforts have been non-existent. I have met no local county officials in Hunt or in my neighborhood, nor have I encountered anyone from the state.
All this millions of dollars that come from all over the place getting donated, where in the hell's that going? It ain't going to the volunteers, you know. I mean, where? You know, my God, I got volunteers. I got the time they showed up and the time they left, and I can't afford to pay them. But they did it out of the kindness of the heart. All that money is going to some politician's slush fund somewhere.
The president and the governor sat here in this building promising that we would have every resource that we need to rebuild. And the very next Monday, the first thing our county judge put on the table was an 8% property tax hike.
I'm a volunteer, and like many others, friends, neighbors, and strangers from across the state, we showed up because help was needed. By the time government entities were seen on the scene, we had already recovered bodies, coordinated supply chains, brought in heavy equipment, served hot meals, provided medical care, and tried, often unsuccessfully, to get help across a broken bridge. Volunteers were threatened with arrest for attempting to deliver supplies to areas that needed them.
I do not believe there is a proper structure of who is in charge, and there is no clear indication of what power can be executed by whom. We are all exhausted by trying to figure out who's in charge, and we are all exhausted by the abuse of power.
Through it all, help did not come from official channels. It came from volunteers, contractors, nurses, teachers, business owners, off-duty responders, parents. Regular working-class Texans and grassroots organizations stepped in when the system failed.
Those are citizens of Texas. They got a chance to tell their elected leaders what it is that they're not doing, what it is that they have to do, these folks, instead to replace them, where there's absolutely zero leadership, there's nothing going on, there's no coordination. As a matter of fact, one of those volunteers talked about how they were being threatened to stop helping. This, of course, coming from leaders who said before, you guys need to get help from your churches, from your local communities, because FEMA's doing nothing for you anymore. Donald Trump has already told you that FEMA is now his. He wants all of that money for himself. And the trauma and the disaster and the fatigue that these folks are feeling isn't even just start and ends with the disaster, but also continues on with the lack of response from leadership. At the time that Texas flood happened, I want you guys to remember what Mike Johnson had to say about what it is that leaders from state to federal leaders could do about it.
State and federal resources have just poured into that area. Is there anything more that can be done congressionally, legislatively to help these folks?
In a moment like this, we feel just as helpless as everyone else does. I've talked to my colleagues there in Texas, Chip Roy and August Pfluger, whose families, that's Chip's district. August's daughters were at the camp. We also had Betty Carter of Georgia, had grandchildren there. It touches so many families, and all we know to do at this moment is pray. Every available resource has been deployed. The president, of course, is dialed in and watching this develop moment by moment as we are, and we'll handle supplemental funding requests as they come in, but right now they're still trying to do rescue and recovery, and our hearts go out to all of them.
All Mike Johnson has are some thoughts and some prayers. There's nothing they can do. Also, as you saw, that Fox News anchor said, resources and help are flooding in, for lack of a better term. But according to the people on the ground, all the way up to now, it's been this long since the flood even happened, and the response still being nothing. Somehow there's resources flooding in. That's just propaganda, because when you talk to the people who are experiencing it, they can't find anyone that's there to help. But this is what Texas leadership is doing instead. Here's the governor of the state. Continue to pay attention to what people are experiencing. Republican, Democrat, or Independent in the state of Texas, and this is what leadership has to say, and this is what they're actually working on.
You said in your statement that you put out today to all of them, in a letter to them, you said, in addition to abandoning their offices, these legislators may also have committed felonies. What is the felony? What are the penalties for this?
So very simply, it would be bribery if any lawmaker took money to perform or to refuse to perform an act in the legislature. And the reports are these legislators have been both, they sought money and they offered money to skip the vote, to leave the legislature, to take a legislative act. That would be bribery. And so the facts will have to come out. But I think based upon comments made by legislators themselves, they face a possibility of facing bribery charges, which is a second-degree felony in the state of Texas. There's one way to cure that, and that is if they get back to the state of Texas and make quorum today at a hearing that we have at 3 o'clock, they can cure themselves of any quid pro quo that would subject them to potential bribery charges.
This is how authoritarians act. Completely ignoring the will of the people, completely ignoring the problems that they're faced with because of the disaster that this administration, along with this entire party, has set upon them. And instead, he's focusing on bringing up these random charges against Democrats who are trying to keep them from making sure they add 5 seats so they can continue to ignore constituents. When is Governor Greg Abbott, who stuttered his way through that bullshit line, going to finally do something for the people of his state? He knows that they know he's not going to do anything for the people of the state, so he's making sure that they can't get rid of any other folks who are supporting him, who's supporting Donald Trump, who said we're not doing anything for the people of this state. Forget about the people who were flooded out of their homes from these levels of flooding and rainfall that they hadn't seen since forever. Forget about the fact that they limited the effectiveness of the National Weather Service and the warning systems that were supposed to be put in place for years before this even happened, because Republicans like this run the state of Texas, and they say, you guys want more of us. Let's listen to more from actual people from Texas. This is one particular man from Texas who has a problem with the approach they're taking, as if people don't understand what's really going on.
Please give us your testimony.
I drove here 3 hours to get here. I came from Abilene, Texas. And if I'm willing to drive 3 hours to come here and talk, I'm going to ask you to get off your phone and listen to what I have to say. You got a call from Donald Trump. He told you to go find 5 seats. No, he got asked, how many seats? He said 5. He was asked on the news. You say, we don't have any maps. Well, how in the hell does Donald Trump know he's going to get 5 seats? I bet you anything there's maps that are there. This is ridiculous. A man a few days ago was arrested because he spoke too long at the lectern. He spoke too long, and y'all said, oh, he had to be arrested because he broke the rules. How many of you are going to get arrested for breaking the rules of mistreating the citizens of this state? You're breaking the rules. We are the citizens of this nation. We're the ones. It's supposed to be bottom up, not top down. I'm going to say this one thing to you. You know it's wrong. In your heart, you know it's wrong.
Of course they do. And yesterday I talked about how Michigan Representative Lisa McClain went on CNN to talk about how the people who show up and get upset at town halls or events like this are bussed in by Democrats because they don't care. They dismiss you. And then when talking about the situation with Democrats using the only tool they have in place to keep these fascists from taking even more power with their grabs, she said they're just fake people. She doesn't care. As they try to act like this whole idea of their gerrymander is something that Republicans have to have their last resort for to respond to what Democrats have been doing, they ignore the fact that the vast majority of the most gerrymandered states are Republican-led states. It's a tool that they use. And as a matter of fact, if they don't like that tool that they use way more than Democrats do, maybe they should listen to what Jessica Tarloff said.
It's important
to remind people that in 2021, there was a bill, the For the People Act, H.R. 1, and it would have banned all gerrymandering, and every single Democrat voted for it, and every single Republican voted against it. Republicans want it this way. They want to use this to their advantage, and of course, there are some states, if you can do it, why wouldn't you get as many seats as possible? But the way in which Abbott is going about this has made people, even like Eric Holder, who runs an organization that is fundamentally against this, change his tune, because the California proposal, and Newsom has been out front on this as well, only has this happen for a few years. So it will go back to normal cadence, and the independent commissions will come back into play. But if you don't fight fire with fire, what are we supposed to do? In a midterm, you're supposed to pick up seats. So we're supposed to just sit there and take it like this?
It's just facts. She goes on to other aspects of Fox News and delivers those similar facts. In case you missed it, this is the fact about what it was when they tried to halt these gerrymandering redistricting plans. And again, she's going to tell you who voted for it and who voted against it.
There was a bill in 2021 that all the Democrats supported that would have had a national ban on redistricting in this way, and all the Republicans opposed it. I also heard no complaints from any Republican when Mike Johnson, just a couple weeks ago, decided to abdicate his job to say, actually, Congress isn't in session anymore because I don't want to have to vote on turning over the Epstein files, the bill put forward by Ro Khanna and Thomas Massie. He said, let's go home, rather than talk about the fact that Donald Trump may or may not have been in there.
All right.
So be equal opportunity in your complaints about fleeing your job. At least they're doing this for a good reason.
Martha McCollum couldn't have anything to say. You saw the anchor on the left. She's like, oh, yeah, you got us on that. On the fact that they vote down bans on gerrymandering while they're complaining and claiming that it's all Democrats want and do. Then claiming that they're running away from their jobs, completely ignoring the fact that Mike Johnson, the Speaker of the House, the same guy who said, F those kids after that flooding happened, all I got is a couple thoughts and prayers for you, that he told the rest of his congressional colleagues to take off. In fact, shut down Congress so they don't have to talk about Epstein files anymore, while at the same time claiming that they want all the information to come out about said Epstein files. They tell so many lies, and they flip it on its head when the audience is different, to make it sound like they care about the things that they're actionably making sure they don't care about. It's saying one thing and doing the other. And now in this case, Republicans voted against banning gerrymandering years ago. So if they have a problem with gerrymandering, maybe they should bring up another bill and support it this time. But it's what they use to try and hold on any little semblance of power, so that then Donald Trump can then claim he had a landslide mandate victory in the election, which he absolutely did not, even with the setups that they've been putting in place. It's the Republican Party. It's the reason why people are so upset at them. So next time you talk about someone having Trump derangement syndrome, or you guys just hate them because you hate them, their actions show how much they hate Americans.